And he said, we have to be very cautious getting back to our vehicle because this elephant is going to continue to follow us. And I just remember being so absolutely fascinated by the grace, the fact that this elephant didn't want to harm us. It was just saying, listen, you're in our way, you're in our territory, and my child could be in danger by coming to you. I don't accept that. And then continue to follow us on. I mean, when I came back from that walking safari, I was like, you guys, you'll never believe what happened on the walking safari. And they're like, you're kidding. That's not normally what happens on a walking safari.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Our introduction clip at the start of the show is just part of one of the amazing stories Amber Langham shared on Wild Developments. Amber is an entrepreneur, motivator, and mentor. A cheerful go-getter who wants to mentor you using proven methods. She will guide you on the how to take action in order to make those shifts in your life so you can knock out small stuff and accomplish those big dreams. She created Trailblazing Talks, a vibrant and inclusive community of trailblazers, female speakers, entrepreneurs, positive conversation seekers, and outdoor enthusiasts. There, they discover the extraordinary within, fostering connections, embracing the spirit of adventure, and a deeper connection with the world around us. Amber, thank you so much for being here today.
It's my honor. I'm so looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. I'm excited to meet you face to face, so to speak, on Zoom, because we both took the mic drop workshop class. What made you decide to take that class?
So it's actually really funny. It was 5 minutes before the session was starting, and I have been working passionately on this project called Trailblazing Talks, and which is going to be creating a business, a brand, and a community that really helps support people of all walks of life on how they can move forward with what their ideal vision of life could be. And so I saw this thing that had popped up on my feed a few times and it popped up again. And I looked at the dates and the time and I was like, oh my gosh, this starts in 5 minutes. And I was like, I'm going to be talking a lot more in front of people. And I would always talk in my past about how I want to become a public speaker and how I'm not afraid to get on stage. So why aren't I sharing my voice more broadly? And how could I do that and feel more supported to do that? And so when this popped up about 5 minutes before it was starting, I was like, this is definitely a sign. Like I take things that come my way as validation of something that's kind of festering inside of us or kind of going through our heads. And I don't like to just sit. I like to take action. I think that that's really key. So I went to the website and I saw that they had a basic version. And then I saw that they had a VIP version, which gives you the recordings. And I was like, dude, I'm all in. I'm going VIP. And what I really loved about that experience was connecting with incredible people like you and all these powerhouse, amazing women who are bringing their dreams to reality by learning the skills and getting the support that they need in order to be a fantastic public speaker. So that was kind of the driver behind why I joined. And what I got from it was far more impactful and amazing, just from conversations like we're having today.
Yeah, it really inspired me to just start the podcast. And I took her, it wasn't the mic drop, it was her book boot camp last year. And I got to tell you what, this class, I've connected with so many people, like just like you, all doing amazing things. And this was just an amazing class. And I'm so happy to have met you through it. Are you applying for any speeches? Did you get anything?
Yes, I'm currently applying for three. One that I have secured is going to be in March, and
Wow.
I am extremely pumped about it. I do have a little bit of an edge in. I have had over 15 years of event coordinating experience. So I am very deep in the events world, and I've always been at the events from a supportive figure like an event coordinator. So I really was excited about the idea of transforming roles and actually getting on stage to being a public speaker. So that is something I'm very passionate about. I love to get out there and share my personal story and my message because it gives other people the courage to do the same. I can say that you were such a huge advocate for me and such a great role model when you got into our group and you were like, I've launched my podcast. I put it out there. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, girl. I immediately went on. I listened. I gave, a 5-star rating on everywhere I could. I was
You.
just so thrilled to see your bravery and the fact that you shared it. And it completely inspired me and motivated me to keep moving forward with this passion and this dream that I have for Trailblazing Talks. So I have a big thanks to you for that.
Yay, we thank each other. That's amazing. And are you talking about some of the things that you're doing with Trailblazing Talks in your speeches?
That's really cool that you even asked that. I'll be honest, I have been playing it small, dude. I've been kind of hiding in the shadows on this power project that I'm loving. And so most of my talk is just generalized, not specific about Trailblazing Talks. But once again, you've inspired me to maybe tweak it
There
and
we
be a
go.
little more vulnerable and give people the insight of what it is that I'm actually working so hard on to bring to life. And I'm bringing that to life not just for myself, but because I want to create that platform and that community that really supports one another in these audacious, amazing, grand goals that we have.
And you talk a lot about creativity and kind of getting that spark of creativity from being outdoors. Can you tell us what that means to you?
Absolutely. So, whenever I don't know about you, if it's something good, if it's something challenging, I always find myself getting out and moving outside. It does not matter if it is warm, if it is cold, if it's snowing.
Mhm.
I find such healing and therapy and almost a deeper connection to the Lord when I'm outside in nature. So anytime that I am facing a struggle, whether it be a disappointing rejection or an amazing exception, that somebody's accepted something that, I've proposed, or could be loss, I find myself the first thing that I do is immediately walk outside. I usually take off my shoes and I physically touch the ground. I
Mhm.
feel like getting grounded really allows me to release those negative ions that are in my body and allows me to just actually physically reconnect, not only with nature, but also myself. And once I do that, it gives you a lot of perspective. It gives you a pause to reconnect and really process whatever it is that you're going through, whether it be joy or sadness. And when you fully experience those emotions, and you fully experience what it is that you're going through and you almost culminate it to like this grappling moment of like, okay, this is something I've been so excited about and it's come to life, or oh my gosh, this was something really hard that I just didn't see coming. By giving yourself that opportunity, it really can create such a deep and healing moments where you're kind of setting like your thumbprint on this pause and giving yourself that moment of reflection. And in a world where we are really focused on, let's keep going, just keep on getting to the next goal, or let's just push through the pain. Let's not look at the hurt. I really find that that's a practice that's very therapeutic, healing, and gives me a lot of gratitude for the beautiful life that we're living.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about that pause, scuba diving is the best thing for me because I am underwater. Nobody can bother me. And I know you're a diver too. What is your most memorable underwater experience that you've had?
Oh, okay. So the first one that I found to be really incredible is that it was my first time diving in Hawaii. And at this time, I was still a pretty new diver. I have been diving for 15 years. So at this time, I was still a pretty new diver. And I had a huge fear of seeing anything big underwater. Like, I only wanted to see small things. Let's see some sea turtles. Let's see some fish. But I didn't really want to see anything big. And we had taken a boat to to this one specific dive spot, and it was Molokini. And there's just this a massive amount of very deep water that is next to very shallow water. And that is an amazing mecca for you to be able to experience both, large animals as well as small animals. And I will never forget it. I dropped in. I'm literally like releasing the air from my BC, and I look over and there is this huge manta ray. I mean,
Oh,
massive. And it's less than like 10 feet from me. And I was like, whoa, this is
amazing.
incredible. And I immediately was like, why was I so afraid of this? Why was I so resistant to this? And it just gave me this absolute awe of nature and this deeper appreciation for you're never going to be able to control what you're going to experience when you're in the ocean.
Hmm.
But if you just surrender and you just experience it, I promise the outcome is going to be memorable and 99% of the time magnificent.
Man, manta rays are beautiful.
I
What do
have
you?
to say one of my favorite animals is the eagle ray stingray. And it is so beautiful because they look like angels underwater. And you don't really realize that until you're scuba diving with them, how amazingly powerful and fast they can be. But most of the time, dude, they're just gliding around looking like an angel. And that's incredible to experience.
And even when they're gliding, they're still so much faster than we are. We're so cumbersome in the water, but it's still amazing to get under and experience that environment.
It is wonderful. I mean, where do you find complete silence other than your bubbles? Unless you're diving a rebreather, which I've also done. And that's epic. Because when you have no bubbles, I'm telling you, marine life are like, are you a fish?
Oh, wow.
They're uber curious, and it's even more peaceful.
I have not done rebreather yet. That one kind of scares me.
Yeah, I'm married to a scuba diving loving husband, and he does that for his profession. And so when they were rolling out their first civilian rebreather program, I was one of the first civilians that got to try it.
Nice.
And I'm one of those people, I want to experience everything life has to offer. And if it scares me, even more validation that I probably need to jump in with both feet and try it out. And I am telling you, it was epic.
What kind of animals were getting up close?
Okay, so the craziest one, I do have to preface my first dive was inside of an aquarium.
It was at this moment that your podcast host thought she might know Amber's husband from a previous career. But you'll have to stick around to the end of the podcast after the credits to hear a little bit more of that conversation.
So I was in a physical building. I was not in the open water. And I was given a squeegee bottle of fish food. And so I would just squeeze this bottle, and literally every fish would just go. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like they're this close because typically when you're scuba diving, your bubbles are going to scare off the fish and other marine life. And what I didn't realize is while I was squeezing this squeeze bottle right in front of my face and just absolutely enamored by the yellow tang and all the amazing fish that were coming up, the angelfish, I did not realize that I was completely being circled by a black tip reef, like a black tip
Oh,
shark.
yeah.
And so this little dude was just like having a field day around me. And that was, I would say, one of the closest like animals that I was like, I was completely oblivious until I saw the video that the shark was right next to me. And mind you, you have safety divers around you, and these fish and animals are very well fed and cared for. So they were not interested in me in any way, shape, or form. But I found that one to be pretty cool that I got that close to a shark and that close to that many fish and was able to like hand feed them. Like I still to this day, that is a top 10 for sure.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. Do you mind if I ask what aquarium?
Yes, the Georgia Aquarium. It's
I
the
was
largest
gonna.
aquarium in the United States.
That one is beautiful. Have you seen their new shark exhibit?
I have. A lot of my family has dove in it as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm gonna have to go. I did the whale shark dive a couple years ago. I loved it. Um, So I know what you're talking about. It's an
Yeah,
incredible experience like none other.
it's one of the best dive programs around for sure.
Mhm.
And I actually, circling back when we were talking about getting in nature with big exciting things and hard things, my mom had passed away, and my family and I were looking for something to bond together to do. And it was my sister, my nephew, and my stepdad, my mom's husband. And they all went diving in the shark cage at Georgia Aquarium. And it was one of the most healing and therapeutic experiences because you're wearing full face masks and you're getting to still communicate underwater, which is really rare. You normally don't get to do that when you're scuba diving. And so, if somebody was breathing a little faster, it's like, hey, are you okay? And you can actually communicate with each other. And they got to have a once in a lifetime opportunity to just get down there, see tiger sharks up close, which are super rare to see, as well as sand tiger sharks. And, I was with my nephew who couldn't scuba dive, and we were on the outside of the tank walking around and getting to see my family do this while I got to hang with him. And I was like, when you're old enough, when you're 12 years old, we'll come back and we'll do this
Oh.
together, buddy. So those are just cool ways that you can connect with nature and heal and process and connect with each other, while still getting totally submerged in something unexpected.
Being a nature enthusiast, can you remember a time when you were out in nature and you were just completely and utterly in awe?
So my husband and I went to Africa a few years ago, and I don't know if you've, for those of you who have been to Africa, you know how absolutely breathtaking and mind blowing it is. But if you haven't been there, everything that you imagine it would be, it is 10 times more. And I remember that the first day we were on safari, we got to come really close to elephants. And these elephants were gorgeous. And there was like a huge herd of them, like 20 of them. And they were all like flapping their ears and just interacting with each other. And there was babies and there was big, large, moms and dads. And it was just this huge herd. And I was just remember thinking, oh my gosh, they're so sweet and gentle and amazing. It's incredible. And then a few days later, we went on a walking safari, which means that you're not in a vehicle, you're on foot, you're walking the terrain. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, walking safaris, you're not going to encounter as many animals. And here's why. When you're in a vehicle and you're on safari, the smell of the gasoline, it covers your human scent. And
Ah.
those animals are used to the trucks coming through. So they're going to stay eating, they're going to stay playing, they're going to continue to do what they do. But when you're on walking safari, you're stinking up the place, right? So they're they're walking away, they're figuring out where they want to go. And one of the coolest experiences that we were on is, I remember telling my husband, I was like, "No, we didn't see much on this last walking safari we did. I don't know if I'm going to go on the next one. Maybe I'll just, sit it out and do a sundowner or something like that." And he said, "We're in Africa. You're going to miss out on an opportunity to go on a walking safari because you didn't see many animals. You
Mhm.
still got to walk the grounds in Africa. This isn't like you're behind a cage in a safe spot. Like, you literally have a ranger with a gun that's walking in front of you, and then you have your guide who's like, literally telling you about the nature life." And we walked up, and sure enough, there was a herd of elephants. And what I didn't realize is that there was a river, here was us, and then here was the elephant. We were blocking the elephant from the water. And one of the baby elephants started to come towards us. And immediately when that happened, that mother elephant got very territorial. And so she started to kind of straighten her tail. That's like your first sign. The tail goes completely straight, ears like fully flapped strongly back, and just saying, like, "You're in our way. You're not supposed to be here." And I remember them saying, "Whatever you do, do not run. Hold your ground. Hold your ground." And the elephant continued to push towards us to the point that the ranger actually discharged their gun in the air. Now, they don't ever shoot the animal. This is just to make a loud noise to
Hmm.
frighten the animal. I was absolutely had a different respect and appreciation for like these animals are gorgeous, graceful, incredible. But the thing you don't know about elephants is that when they charge, their foot like flattens as they walk into the ground. So you don't ever hear them. The only thing you're going to hear is like branches breaking. So once this elephant had tried to charge us and our ranger had disarmed their weapon, they went back into the woods, but they keep an eye on you because an elephant doesn't forget. And he said, we have to be very cautious getting back to our vehicle because this elephant is going to continue to follow us. And sure enough, as we were continuing on to get out of the way of the water, a lot of the actual herd went to the water to get their drink. But this mom continued to follow us. And I remember being like, wow, this mother loves this child so much that it's heard a gun. It's keeping its distance, but it's also keeping an eye on us. And I just remember being so absolutely fascinated by the grace, the fact that this elephant didn't want to harm us. It was just saying, listen, you're in our way, you're in our territory, and my child could be in danger by coming to you. I don't accept that. And then continue to follow us on. I mean, when I came back from that walking safari, I was like, you guys, you'll never believe what happened on the walking safari. And they're like, you're kidding. That's not normally what happens on a walking safari. You're looking at like, ant hills and different things. So I think that that was a pretty wild experience for me, getting to see both the tame, calm, docileness of an elephant in its, natural habitat, and then also to get to see the power, fierceness, and this behavior of an elephant. And all of us ended up walking away okay. So it's once again to show you we are meant to coexist, but there has to be healthy communication, boundaries, and understanding what those are so that you can navigate the terrain well enough to get safely back home.
Well, I'm glad you listened to your husband because that's a much better story than sitting back in the hotel room.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
And I'm gonna have to start using Mama Elephant instead of Mama Bear because that sounds terrifying.
I know it literally later on another safari at a different camp. They're like, oh, you can get close to the elephants. I was like, I have had close enough experience with the elephants.
I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so can you share a defining moment that led to the creation of Trailblazing Talks?
Yes. I had been going through a really like stagnant time, like a lot of us probably when you get through COVID, wasn't moving my body enough, wasn't getting out in nature enough, really needing to like reconnect with the things that I loved. And what I found was I do a lot of consulting. And so one of the women that I was consulting, she had a huge group of like, I want to say it was like 5,000 women. And many of these women, when I would listen to their stories, were I'm terrified to get back out and I'm terrified to get on a trail. I don't know how to protect myself. I don't know how to prepare and like bring the right gear. It was all these fears and these thoughts that they were building up in their head. And so one day I was sitting on my back porch in nature with my feet in the ground and just kind of praying and meditating on like, how can I get back in nature? And even more than that, how can I bring other women with me? How can I make this less intimidating? How can I make it more fun? How can I make it more engaging? Maybe if I go there and I show somebody this trail, it's going to give them the courage to go out and try this particular trail. And so that was kind of the beginning idea of Trailblazing Talks was getting out on trails, talking and having meaningful conversations, and eventually having meetups where women would be able to meet me and getting to hear their stories and getting to explore trails. But then also creating that for audiences who aren't physically able. Maybe they want to experience these trails and they don't have the opportunity. So I really wanted this like inclusive experience for all walks of life, no matter what your limitations are, no matter what opportunities you may have. And that's kind of where it started. And then it's morphed since I took Mic Drop Workshop. I've had a deeper passion for also connecting with other female speakers and entrepreneurs and adding that zest also within this business brand and community.
I can't wait to hear everything that you are going to be doing. So when you're doing a podcast with this,
I am. I'm
and
thanks to you, I'm working diligently to get this thing launched. I'm so excited. You got me so passionate.
and it's going to be amazing. So when you're interviewing people, wait, right now we're on Zoom. I'm in Cincinnati, you're in Georgia. I mean, are you doing this like that, or are you doing something a little different?
So I'm a really spontaneous person. And what I mean by that is literally in December, my husband and I were going out to California to celebrate my aunt's 80th birthday. And I was like, you know what? We're right near Joshua Tree. We're going to Joshua Tree. And so we ended up going and exploring Joshua Tree for the day. And I was like, anybody who wants to join me on this adventure, it's totally spur of the moment. Here's the date and time. This is when we're going. If you want to come, jump in the car or jump in my car and let's go hit this up. And those are moments where no matter if I'm, traveling for family or traveling for work or just here in my own hometown of, the Metro Atlanta area, I try to find cool places and I want to give an opportunity to extend those invites out. I love the idea of possibly going live so people who are in other parts of the world in the country can also partake in that. But I am definitely overcoming one technical tool at a time. So this is going to start off very small and it's going to expand from there.
That's You're going to go so many places. It's going to be amazing. I'm so happy I met you at the beginning of your ride.
Dude,
Just to
I'm so
see how
thrilled that
far
we're
you
on this ride together. This is
Yes.
epic.
We should, well, I go down to Florida every winter, and well, actually in 2 weeks I'm going to swim with the manatees. But
Oh, how cool.
at some point we should meet up and go hike.
I would love that. Or dive. I'm totally down for let's do both.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally my style too. Like, let's just on vacation, we do everything we can, and let's vacation when we get home. I can relax when I get home.
That's definitely my husband's mentality as well. He's like, come on, let's go to the next adventure. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Can you
Yeah.
share a memorable hiking experience that left a lasting impression on you and how that ties into Trailblazing Talks?
Yes. So, one of the coolest things that I had a moment with myself, I was in the Valley of Yosemite. We were staying at I think they call it the housekeeping camp. That's where we were. And there is this little beach area that it goes along the Mirror River. And so I woke up at because I'm on the East Coast. And when you go to the West Coast, you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning. So I woke up at literally 4 in the morning and I was like, well, I'm not just gonna sit here in my tent. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna start having a walk myself. So I brewed my coffee, I got all bundled up because it was this is kind of crazy. It was May, but it was snowing.
Wow.
So it was one of those rare occasions where it was really unexpectedly cold. But that particular morning, it was just cold, no snow yet. And I got my coffee and I went out on this little beach and I was just observing the river. And I was having just the most serene moment. And I had been out walking in this area, just exploring all through the woods and this beach area before I realized two things. One is that I looked up, and that's always a gift. Don't forget to look up. Sometimes you get so focused on what's ahead of you or what's in front of you or the trail that you forget to lift your eyes to the sun and to the beautiful things that are above you. And I look up and there were the waterfalls right in front of me. And I was absolutely in awe that I had been on this trail and I had been walking for an hour. And it wasn't until the sun came up and I peeked through and I saw through the trees that there is the most amazing waterfall. And I think it was Vale Falls. I'm pretty sure that might be the falls you see from it. Could have been Yosemite Falls. Listeners, feel free to correct me. But I remember just being completely captivated. And around 6:30 in the morning, my husband came out and he's like, you've been out here since 4? And I was like, yeah, it's been incredible. I've like had so many inspiring thoughts of what I want to do and how I want to, be as a human being. And he goes, did you have any bears? Because this is where all the animals come to drink the water in the
Oh my
morning. And I
gosh.
said, I've been so submerged in myself. I don't know if I had any wildlife around me or not, but none that I can actually recall. He's like, next time, maybe take a bigger look around you and above you. Okay, kid? I was like, duly noted, duly noted. So that was a very inspiring moment of Trailblazing Talks where I thought I can bring these experiences to life, um, and really invite other people to have those experiences for themselves as well.
Well, you inspired me to go out west so I can see a sunrise because usually asleep.
That's so true, right? It's a
Mhm.
lot easier to catch when it's on the West Coast.
I never thought of it like that. It sounds like a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I love that you're bringing that and trying to connect people to that because it's so important. And
Thank you. First of all, I have to pause and I have to just tell you, your artwork is phenomenal.
oh, thank
And what
you.
you're doing with this show is so positively impactful. I get so pumped every time you have a next episode dropping. And I just cannot wait to see the beautiful people and the beautiful places that you explore with this amazing journey that you're on. And I can't thank you enough because it has inspired me to pick up and keep on with my journey. So it's been really cool just getting to know you virtually and now getting an opportunity to meet you face to face. This has been a really positively impactful, amazing experience. So I can't thank you
Same.
enough.
Same. Thank you. So, before we go, do you have any stories where you had to overcome some sort of discomfort in order to enjoy nature? And was it worth it in the end?
When I was first doing my checkout dives, and I don't know what your checkout dives were like, but the first time I did my checkout dives, and those of you who are not certified in scuba diving, you have to work on skills, things like taking your mask off, clearing your mask. So I did all of this totally fine in the pool, and I found that to be really empowering for me. That I was like, okay, if crap hits the fan, I know how I'm going to handle myself. Like if somebody kicks off my mask, I'm going to be able to get it back on, clear it out, and like keep on with my dive. Well, the first time I was doing my open water dives, we were doing Christ of the Abyss. And for those of you who don't know what Christ of the Abyss is, it is a statue of Jesus with his hands extended in the water above his head. Some people call it touchdown Jesus because he looks like he's a ref doing a touchdown move. And I was making my way to the actual statue and I was having an issue because I was wearing contacts. I wear glasses. And so when I scuba dive, I either wear a prescription mask, but early in my, diving career, I didn't have a prescription mask. So you simply wear contacts with a regular mask. And I had my hair get caught in the top of my mask, and that can create a leak for water to start flooding your mask. And I remember I was like, okay, I got this. And I cleared my mask. Well, all the salt water was out of my mask, but salt water had gotten into my eyes.
Hmm.
And I had never experienced that before. And so I started to panic a little bit. And I was looking at my instructor and I was looking at my boyfriend at the time, which is now my husband. And I was like, I need to go up. I need to go up. I can't stay down here. And so I went up to the top. I took my mask off. I rubbed my eyes. I got my eyes flushed out enough, put my mask back on. And my instructor said, all right, are you ready to go again? I said, absolutely. Let's do this. And when I went back under, there was this little yellow tang fish. Now, my eyes were still a little blurry because I had just had salt water in them, but it wasn't painful anymore. And this little yellow tang swam in front of me, in front of my mask like this, the whole way,
Aw.
guiding me to the Christ of the Abyss statue. And so when we got done with our dive, you always have to journal what your dive is, especially when you're getting checked out, because you have to document what was the water temperature, what was like, all of the things that you experienced, what did you see? And I chose to tell a story about Petey the fish and my dad who went to heaven for my right before my 16th birthday. I'm sorry, right before my 17th birthday, his name was Pete. And so I said, I
Aw.
think it was my dad
Oh, I love
telling this fish, guide my daughter to the Christ of the Abyss. And this little yellow tang, I followed all the way there. And when he swam off was right when the statue was in front of me. And that's how life can really unfold for you so beautifully if you just dive in, push through any of the challenges you're facing, and go forward to conquer the day because it'll be worth it.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. Can you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me at trailblazingtalks.com or amberlangham.com.
And until next time, get outside and develop something wild.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.
As promised, here is the conversation that Amber and I had after our recording, where we realized that it's a very small world.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I was watching the seconds count down. I'm like, please, Lord, let this beautiful story finish before you cut it off. And I think we got both your websites in before it cut out. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Sweet.
Oh, okay.
God is always good.
Yes.
I have to tell you, your artwork behind you, I am like absolutely loving every piece. And I have to know, the hummingbird, is that a water painting?
Yeah, that's watercolor.
Oh my gosh, that is so incredible.
Why, thank you.
I'm gonna have to buy some of your art on your website. I'm like, I have got to start rocking that behind me instead of a window.
Yeah, it definitely helps to have some like stuff that's, connected to you for your background. I don't know if you plan on doing like YouTube with your videos or anything, but
I visually want to create something that people who are homebound, that's something that's really passionate to me as well.
mm-hmm.
My husband works a lot with wounded warrior projects, and I've always been so fascinated on how they give these amazing veterans the opportunity to get out in nature and to scuba dive. And so I really want to be part of that experience for people who can physically get out and need, ADH compliant trails, but also for those who are homebound and physically can't move. I think it would be really impactful to be able to create a YouTube channel for this particular podcast as well, so that they can experience the trail, even though they may not be able to physically walk it. They could have their physical therapist move their feet while they're watching it.
Did you already buy your GoPros and everything?
Yes.
Well, I asked because you could do 360 cameras. And
Ooh.
when you upload that to YouTube, they can actually like move the mouse and look around. And
No
sometimes you can
way.
even wear the because we are drone pilots, so we
That's so cool.
We dabble in like 3D videoing and stuff too. That was something we were trying to get with our parks because they've got some event spaces and stuff here. And we're like, 3D video would be amazing on your website. Is your husband was he in the military or is he a veteran?
He is not a veteran. He is just a civilian, but he actually, when he was a kid, the two passions he had was he wanted to get into marine biology and he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Dead serious. Those were his two goals. He was like, I want to be a Navy SEAL and I want to be a marine biologist. And when he got older, he ended up going and becoming a medic. And he was a flight medic for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and a ground medic for Grady, which is the 911 base in Atlanta, where you get like all the bad calls, the shootings, the stabbings. And it's how beautiful God works, because he works at the Georgia Aquarium as the dive safety officer.
Stop.
And
I was a dive safety officer.
oh my gosh, I knew it was a small world. Yeah, my husband's Jonathan Lingham. He's the DSO at the Georgia Aquarium. And
I
so,
might have met him before.
oh, I'm totally not surprised, because I was like, honey, this person is like in your industry. And I was like, it's super small and niche industry. So I was like, I would totally not be surprised if y'all knew each other.
That's
Um,
crazy.
it is crazy. But he has been able to get on this diving gear that the Navy SEALs use, which is the rebreathers.
Yeah.
We have a lot of respect for our veterans, and we're both very grateful for the men and women who have sacrificed and served. But unfortunately, neither one of us have given that kind of honor, and we haven't done that walk. But we very much respect and work very closely hand in hand with our veterans, because it's a passion project for us for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you. My husband's a veteran.
Oh, thank you for your sacrifice and his service, because
Hey. Well, when you
it's
said
not
your
easy.
husband was he worked, he did the rebreather for work, I was like, well, maybe he's military. I'm like, surely he can't work for the aquarium. And no kidding. That's so
Yeah,
fun.
they actually have a rebreather program now at the Georgia Aquarium.
Yeah,
So maybe that would be our first dive, Lauren. Maybe we need to go and experience some rebreathers together, girl.
that would
I'm
be
just saying.
amazing.
I think
Oh,
we need to plan it. I don't think this is like a maybe. I think we should totally plan it.
like,
We have the connections. We have the skills. Now I just
yeah.
have to get you to Atlanta.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Amber and I are going to have to set up a dive, some hiking, have some adventures together, and we will be sure to record those adventures and share them with you guys. And as far as her other adventures, make sure that you're following her over at Trailblazing Talks, because she is so passionate and knowledgeable about what she does that anybody is in for an amazing ride with Amber. And go have an adventure yourself today. Get outside and develop something wild.